One of the things I argue in my work is that students must develop their own cultural identity
right
before, and their national identity, before they can reach out to the global issues. And I'll give just one example. If you're an African-American kid in Seattle and you're struggling and you don't have equity in the school, it's hard for you to identify with African-Americans in London. I mean, West Indian kids in London. Because you need to feel comfortable in your own identity. So multicultural education is tied to global citizenship education because it also helps students who develop global identities. I'm going to stop there in case you would like to expand on something else.
I think this is really interesting, and my understanding is that you foresee the fact that by developing an inner identity that starts from the local, then students that would be able to understand what's going on in the global. And I think it really, this ties with my second question to you, because I believe here we're talking about also education of life, a journey of life that students undertake while doing their studies. And I want to ask you a question about how multiculturalism and notions of citizenship relate to your journey as an educator in relation, of course, to your teachings and publications.
Wow, that is a big question. And my journey has been a long one, a challenging one, but also a rewarding one. I'd like to really talk about my growing up. I don't know if you knew that I grew up in apartheid in the South. I came of age during the civil rights, just prior to the highest points of the civil rights movement. So as a child in the 40s and 50s, I attended segregated apartheid schools in Marianna, Arkansas. Well, that was the nearest town. I was actually 9 miles from Marianna, Arkansas. So I grew up in the heart of segregation. And it was the growing up in that community, and in that city, if you can call Marianna a city, it was a small town. I was, of course, grew up on a farm 9 miles from Marianna, Arkansas. But the segregation that I experienced as a child had a profound effect on my work as an educator and as a fifth grade teacher. For example, when I was a child, the textbook showed that the enslaved people were happy. And I thought, how could enslaved people be happy? Because the Black folks I know in my segregated community aren't happy. We did all kinds of things to indicate we weren't happy. For example, the water fountains, there were Black or colored water fountains and white water fountains. And we as children, to subterfuge the system, would occasionally taste white water when the authorities weren't looking. And then we concluded, wow, what a fraud. White water tastes just like colored water. We thought that white water maybe would be sweeter or taste better. Then, of course, as the white kids took up, when I first started school, a bus took them to school, but we had to walk. I had to walk about 5 miles to schools. And one of my most poignant memories is that when the school bus carrying the white students ran down the road, it splashed mud on us. That's a very poignant memory.